Hello and welcome to Soothing Pod's Sleep Stories. I am Chris, and tonight we will relax and unwind with a soothing look at the history and mystery of the lost continent of Lemuria. Learn about the origins of the legend, the spiritual and mythological beliefs that surround it, and the scientific perspectives that seek to separate fact from fiction. Let this fascinating myth guide you into a peaceful and restful sleep. Before we begin our journey tonight, let's take time to relax and let go of the stresses of the day. Allow your body to sink into the surface beneath you. Here and now, there are no obligations, no to-do lists. Simply lying in bed with your eyes closed, you are already giving your body nourishing rest. Close your eyes and take a slow, deep breath in. And as you exhale, let go of any tension, any lingering thoughts of the day. Feel yourself becoming lighter, your body softening, preparing to fully relax. Bring your attention to your toes. Wiggle them gently. Then allow them to become still. Feel any tension in your feet dissolve as warmth and relaxation spread through your soles, heels, and arches. With each breath, your feet become lighter, sinking deeper into comfort. Now, move your focus up to your ankles and lower legs. Breathe in deeply, and as you exhale, release any tightness in your calves and shins. Imagine a soft wave of relaxation floating upward, soothing and loosening every muscle. Shift your awareness to your knees and thighs. These strong muscles have carried you through the day, and now they deserve to rest. As you inhale, send relaxation into this space. And as you exhale, let any tension melt away. Your legs are now completely at ease, warm and weightless. Bring your attention to your hips and lower back. Take a deep breath in, and as you exhale, feel your hips open and your lower back release. Imagine all stiffness fading, replaced by a soothing, gentle calm. Now, focus on your abdomen. Breathe deeply, allowing your stomach to expand fully. As you exhale, feel your core soften, your breath flowing freely. There is no effort here, just gentle relaxation. Move your awareness up to your chest. Feel it rise and fall effortlessly with your breath. With each exhale, release any lingering tension in your ribs, allowing your lungs to expand freely, filling you with calm. Now, turn your focus to your shoulders. Let them drop naturally, releasing any weight they may carry. Feel the warmth of relaxation travel down your arms, past your elbows, all the way to your fingertips. Your hands rest comfortably, free of tension. Finally, bring your attention to your neck and face. Soften your jaw. Release your tongue from the roof of your mouth. Feel your cheeks relax, your forehead smooth. Let your eyes rest gently, completely at peace. Your entire body is now fully relaxed, free of tension. Breathe in comfort, breathe out ease. And now, we can begin tonight's discovery. Beneath the gentle waves of the Indian and Pacific Oceans lies a secret, or so the stories tell. An ancient continent, long since vanished beneath the water. This is Lemuria, a land that exists now only in legends, theories, and the quiet corners of imagination. Unlike its more famous cousin, Atlantis, which emerged from Plato's philosophical texts, the lost continent of Lemuria sprang to life through 19th century science. It was only later that it became absorbed by myth and mystery. Lemuria is just one of a constellation of legendary lost lands. Atlantis, with its advanced civilization. Mu, the Pacific motherland of humanity. Hyperborea, the perfect northern realm beyond the reach of ordinary mortals. What draws us to these vanished worlds? For many, these legendary lands represent not warnings, but wonder. They suggest that our human story is richer and more magical than textbooks might reveal. They offer gentle connections between cultures separated by vast oceans. In their stories, we find echoes of universal human experiences, the search for meaning, the quest for origins, the appreciation of beauty and knowledge. These tales of ancient wisdom resonate with something deep within us. They remind us that we are part of an unfolding story much larger than ourselves. Lemuria, with its scientific beginnings and spiritual connections, occupies a unique place in this pantheon of the lost lands. It bridges the rational and the mystical, geological and the metaphysical. As we journey through our story tonight, let the gentle currents of possibility carry you along. Whether Lemuria existed as a physical land or exists only as a dream is for you to decide. In the quiet academic circles of 1864, a young British zoologist named Philip Lutley Sclater pondered a curious mystery. Why did similar lemurs exist in Madagascar and India, but not in Africa or the Middle East? These wide-eyed primates, with their distinctive features, seemed to tell a story of connection across the vast Indian Ocean. In the pages of the Quarterly Journal of Science, Sclater proposed an elegant solution. Perhaps these lands were once joined by a land bridge, or even an entire continent. He named this hypothetical land Lemuria, after the lemur who had inspired his theory. This was an age of scientific discovery and classification. Darwin's theory of evolution was still new and controversial. The concept of continental drift had not yet been accepted. Sclater's idea developed during a time when scientists sought to explain the puzzling distribution of plants and animals across our world. Their best theories required land connections that no longer existed. The science was reasonable for its time. Why else would related species appear on distant shores, separated by deep waters? The respected German biologist Ernst Haeckel soon expanded upon Sclater's concept. Haeckel saw in Lemuria not just a bridge for animal migration, but potentially the cradle of human evolution. In his work, The History of Creation, he suggested Lemuria might be the missing homeland of what he called the missing link in human development. Haeckel wrote of this vanished land with growing conviction. He created detailed maps showing a continent spanning what is now the Indian Ocean. His scientific authority gave weight to the Lemurian concept. Other naturalists began to reference this lost continent in their works. The seed of Lemuria had been planted in scientific soil. As the 19th century progressed, geology and biology continued to advance. New theories would eventually explain these animal distributions without the need for vanished continents. But the lost continent of Lemuria had already begun to drift from the realm of hypothesis into something more enduring, like a leaf carried from one stream to another. Lemuria was about to flow from science into spirituality. In the late 19th century, a Russian-born mystic named Helena Petrovna Blavatsky was establishing a spiritual movement called Theosophy. Her searching mind discovered Sclater's Lemuria, but where he saw a land bridge for animals, she envisioned something far grander. In her 1888 work, The Secret Doctrine, Blavatsky transformed Lemuria into the home of the third root race, a species of proto-humans. She wrote of these ancient Lemurians with remarkable detail. They were tall beings, she claimed, 15 to 30 feet in height. They possessed a third eye at the back of their heads that gave them psychic ability. Blavatsky described Lemuria and its people as a civilization that existed millions of years ago. Her Lemurians lived in harmony with powerful natural forces. They built great cities and temples before their continent sank beneath the waves. According to her teachings, these beings were our distant ancestors. Their wisdom and ability represented stages of spiritual evolution that modern humans had forgotten. The theosophical vision of Lemuria spread through occult circles like ripples on still water. It offered a prehistoric golden age, a time of spiritual connection now lost. James Churchward, an Anglo-American traveler and inventor, developed parallel ideas about a lost continent he called Mu through his studies of ancient tablets. Churchward wrote of an advanced civilization that predated all known history. His Mu and Blavatsky's Lemuria came intertwined in many later writings. The Austrian philosopher Rudolf Steiner, who founded anthroposophy after breaking away from theosophy, also embraced and expanded upon the Lemurian concept. In his spiritual science, Lemurians possessed abilities modern humans would consider magical. They could manipulate life forces and communicate with plants. With these spiritual traditions, the Lemurians were far more than primitive ancestors. They represented a different kind of humanity, one more connected to the subtle energies of our world The Lemurians, it is said, lived in a time when the veil between physical and spiritual realms was thinner. Their consciousness operated on principles modern humans have largely forgotten. The Lemurians' most remarkable feature, according to these esoteric teachings, was their third eye. Not a physical eye in the conventional sense. Rather, it was an energetic center located near the pineal gland. This spiritual organ supposedly gave them abilities that would seem miraculous to us today. They could perceive auras and energy fields. They could communicate telepathically across vast distances. Some accounts suggest they could manipulate matter through thought alone. These beings allegedly lived in harmony with planetary energies. They understood ley lines and vortex points long before modern dowsers claimed to rediscover them. Their temples were said to be positioned at precise locations to harness Earth's natural power. These sacred sites supposedly created networks of energy that sustained their civilization. Perhaps the most tangible connections to Lemuria come in the form of crystals. Lemurian seed crystals, as they are called in metaphysical circles, are quartz crystals with distinctive horizontal striations or bands. These unusual markings are said to be records. Information storage devices programmed by ancient Lemurians before their continent sank beneath the waves. Those who work with these crystals in meditation claim they can access memories and wisdom from this lost civilization. The horizontal lines, they say, can be read by running one's finger across them while in a receptive state of mind. Each crystal contains different aspects of Lemurian knowledge, healing techniques, spiritual practices, historical records. Other claimed artifacts occasionally surface in New Age communities. Unusual stones with symbols, ancient tools with unexplained properties. Most mainstream archaeologists dismiss these items, but for believers, they represent tangible connections to this vanished world. In recent decades, some spiritual practitioners claim to channel messages directly from Lemurian beings. These channelers describe themselves as conduits through which Lemurian masters or elders can communicate with our modern world. The messages often focus on planetary healing, on raising consciousness, on preparing for a new era of spiritual awakening. These channeled communications typically describe Lemurians as still existing on higher vibrational planes. They have not disappeared, the messages suggest. They have simply shifted beyond our limited perception. From these subtle realms, they continue to guide and influence humanity's development. The messages speak of Lemuria not just as a lost historical civilization, but as a state of consciousness, a way of being that emphasized unity with all life, harmony with natural forces, development of intuitive abilities that modern humans have allowed to atrophy through over-reliance on intellectual thinking. According to theosophical teachings, Lemuria's destruction was not a mere geological accident, but a cosmic necessity. Blavatsky described its fall as part of a grand evolutionary plan. The Lemurians had begun to misuse their considerable psychic powers. What began as spiritual gifts gradually became corrupted. Some Lemurian factions turned toward what we might now call black magic. They summoned forces they could not control. They violated natural laws. The harmony that had defined their civilization began to fracture. In Blavatsky's cosmology, each root race had its time and purpose in human development. The Lemurian cycle needed to end so that the next phase could emerge with new lessons to learn. The sinking of Lemuria was therefore both punishment and progression. Nature itself responded to the spiritual imbalance with physical cataclysm. Rudolf Steiner elaborated on this theme in his anthroposophical teachings. He suggested that the Lemurians' ability to manipulate life forces was initially pure and instinctive, but as their consciousness evolved, some developed self-centered desires. They began to manipulate these energies for personal gain rather than cosmic harmony. The very powers that had elevated Lemurian civilization became the seeds of its destruction. Other esoteric traditions describe volcanic eruptions and earthquakes of unprecedented scale. Fire from within the earth combining with cosmic fire from above. The continent breaking apart gradually, with its people scattering to distant shores. Some spiritualists claim the most advanced Lemurian masters foresaw the coming cataclysm. They established colonies in safe locations, underground havens, distant mountaintops, or even other dimensions of reality. Throughout these varied accounts runs a common thread: material destruction following spiritual corruption, fall from grace. The Lemurian demise thus serves as both historical explanation and moral parable. It suggests that civilizations rise or fall not merely on technological advancement, but on their relationship with higher principles and natural laws. Through these esoteric traditions, the lost continent of Lemuria evolved from a spiritual hypothesis into a rich spiritual mythology. It had become a lost chapter of human spiritual evolution, a memory of paradise, both lost and waiting to be regained. Whether one views these claims as literal truth or symbolic teaching stories, they offer a gentle invitation. An invitation to consider different ways of perceiving our world, different possibilities for human potential, different relationships with the unseen aspects of existence. As the Lemurian legend drifted into the 20th century, it began to intertwine with newer strands of alternative belief. The idea that some Lemurians might have survived their continent's destruction took root in the fertile soil of modern conspiracy theories. These narratives suggest that the descendants of this ancient civilization continue to exist, hidden from ordinary human perception. Perhaps the most enduring of these beliefs centers around Mount Shasta in Northern California. This majestic, snow-capped volcano has long attracted spiritual seekers and mystery enthusiasts. Indigenous legends already spoke of the mountain as sacred long before European settlement. But in the 1880s, a new chapter was added to its mystique. Frederick Spencer Oliver's book, A Dweller on Two Planets, introduced the idea that survivors from Lemuria had established a sanctuary beneath or within Mount Shasta. He wrote of encounters with tall, white-robed figures who appeared and disappeared mysteriously on the mountain slopes. These beings allegedly lived in an advanced subterranean city called Telos. Throughout the 20th century, hikers and visitors to Mount Shasta reported strange encounters, unusual lights moving across the mountain at night, tall figures in flowing robes appearing suddenly and then vanishing, doors or openings in the mountainside that couldn't be relocated later. strange music drifting through forests with no apparent source. The Lemurian settlement under Mount Shasta grew in elaborate detail with each telling. Some accounts described a vast city of crystal with advanced technology powered by mysterious energies. Other stories told of Lemurians living in a higher vibrational state, only occasionally making themselves visible to worthy seekers. These narratives connected comfortably with the growing hollow earth theories. Some believed that the earth contained vast interior spaces housing lost civilizations. Others suggested an intricate network of tunnels and caverns connecting sacred sites around the world. In these hidden places, it was said the wisdom of ancient civilizations was preserved and protected. By the late 20th century, Lemuria had found connections to extraterrestrial theories as well. Some proposed that Lemurians had been seeded on Earth by benevolent space beings. Others suggested that when their continent sank, some Lemurians escaped not underground to other planets or dimensions. More recent conspiracy narratives have linked Lemurians to government cover-ups. Some claim that military or intelligence agencies are aware of these ancient beings but keep their existence secret. Others suggest that certain technological advances came from recovered Lemurian knowledge or artifacts. For those drawn to these ideas, the appeal lies in the hint of mystery behind ordinary reality. The possibility that ancient wisdom might still be accessible. The comfort thinking that beings of higher consciousness might be guiding humanity from behind the scenes. While mystical traditions and conspiracy theories have embraced the Lemurian concept, modern science has moved in a different direction. The scientific understanding of our planet's geology has evolved dramatically since Philip Sclater first proposed his lost continent. The theories that once made Lemuria seem plausible have given way to more comprehensive explanation. The most significant scientific development was the acceptance of continental drift and plate tectonics. This revolutionary theory, fully embraced by the scientific community by the 1960s, revealed that Earth's crust consists of massive plates that move slowly over time. These plates carry the continents and ocean floors, colliding, separating, and transforming over millions of years. Under this understanding, continents don't simply sink beneath the waves, as the Lemurian narrative suggests. The continental crust is less dense than the oceanic crust and literally floats atop the mantle below. While coastlines can flood, and sea levels can change, the complete submergence of an entire continent runs contrary to the fundamental principles of geology. When geologists examine the Indian Ocean floor, they find no evidence of a sunken landmass that could have been Lemuria. The patterns of undersea ridges, the age of the seafloor, and the distribution of geological features all align with the plate tectonic model. They tell a story of gradual continental separation, not catastrophic submergence. The lemur distribution that puzzled Sclater now has simpler explanation. The ancestors of lemurs likely spread during periods when these lands were connected differently, or when sea levels were lower. Small populations could have travelled on natural rafts of vegetation, a phenomenon documented in other species. These explanations require no lost continent. Science, however, does recognize that Earth's geography has changed dramatically during periods of lower sea levels, particularly ice ages when more water was locked in glaciers. Significant land masses were exposed that are now underwater. These weren't continents that sank, but rather continental shelves that became submerged as ice melted and sea levels rose. During the last ice age, much of Southeast Asia, including Indonesia and Malaysia, formed a single landmass. As glaciers melted and seas rose, this land slowly flooded, creating the islands and coastlines we know today. Similar submerged landscapes exist in other parts of the world. Doggerland once connected Britain to continental Europe, for rising seas created the English Channel. Beringia linked Siberia and Alaska, allowing humans to migrate to the Americas. These real lost lands were not mystical continents, but extensions of existing landmasses temporarily exposed during periods of lower sea level. The scientific perspective doesn't eliminate wonder from our world. Rather, it reveals a planet with a deep history of transformation. Continents that split and reform. Mountain ranges that rise and erode. Coastlines that advance and retreat. This ever-changing Earth holds stories no less magnificent than those of Lemuria. Written not in mystical text, but in layers of rock and patterns of life, the legend of Lemuria, though rejected by mainstream science, has left an enduring imprint on our cultural landscape. Like a pebble dropped in still water, its influence has rippled outward through literature, art, spiritual movements, and popular media. In literature, Lemuria has inspired countless works of fiction. The concept appears in H.P. Lovecraft's Cthulhu mythos, where it serves as one of the primordial lands inhabited by cosmic entities. Science fiction authors from Lynn Carter to Greg Bear have incorporated Lemurian elements into their world building. Even poets have found inspiration in the misty realms of this lost continent, using it as a symbol for paradise lost or wisdom forgotten. Comic books and graphic novels have embraced Lemuria enthusiastically. Marvel Comics features its own version of Lemuria, home to an underwater civilization. In film and television, Lemuria occasionally surfaces as a plot device or reference point. Documentaries exploring ancient mysteries often include segments on Lemuria, alongside other lost civilizations. These popular representations tend to blend the scientific origins with more fantastical elements, creating hybrid narratives that further blur the lines between hypothesis and myth. What makes Lemuria so persistent in our collective imagination? Perhaps Lemuria holds a deeper significance in our collective psychology. We seem naturally drawn to the idea of lost golden ages, ancient times when humans lived in greater harmony, possessed deeper wisdom, or achieved heights from which we have somehow fallen. This pattern appears across cultures and throughout history. The Garden of Eden, the Age of Heroes, Atlantis. Each represents a time before our perceived brokenness began. Lemuria fits perfectly within this psychological framework. According to psychologists, these lost paradise narratives serve multiple psychological functions. They offer an explanation for the difficulties and limitations of our present condition. They suggest that our current struggles are not the natural state of humanity, but a temporary fall from grace. They hold the promise that what was lost might somehow be regained. There is comfort in believing that answers to our most pressing problems already exist, preserved in some hidden wisdom. That we need not invent solutions from scratch, but simply rediscover what was once known. Lemuria, with its advanced spiritual technologies and harmonious relationship with nature, offers exactly this reassurance. Some scholars suggest these myths might contain fragments of cultural memory. Perhaps they preserve, in distorted form, collective trauma from real catastrophes. The flooding of coastal settlements as Ice Age glaciers melted. The natural disasters that have periodically reset human civilizations. through generations of retelling, these experiences could transform into tales of entire continents lost beneath the waves. Yet, there is also pure myth-making at work. Humans are natural storytellers, weaving narratives to explain the inexplicable. We create meaning through stories that organize our understanding of the world. Lemuria, with its blend of scientific origins and spiritual elaborations, demonstrates how we build these explanatory frameworks across generations. As our journey through the story of Lemuria draws to a close, we find ourselves at the shoreline between fact and imagination. Like all enduring myths, Lemuria exists in a twilight realm. Not quite historical truth, yet more than mere fantasy. It occupies that special place where human creativity transforms scientific theories into meaningful narratives. The literal existence of a continent called Lemuria has been dismissed by modern geology. The seafloor reveals no sunken landmass. Yet, Lemuria's value doesn't depend on its historical reality. As mythology, it continues to inspire and intrigue us. It raises questions about our origins and potential. It challenges us to imagine different ways of being human. It connects us to deep currents of thought that have flowed through human consciousness for generations. Perhaps the most valuable approach is neither complete skepticism nor unquestioning belief. Instead, we might appreciate Lemuria's story for the questions it raises, for the possibilities it suggests, the way it continues to evolve in our collective imagination. As you drift now towards sleep, let Lemuria float at the edge of your thoughts, a land that exists in the geography of dreams, a story that continues to unfold across time, a reminder that our human journey contains chapters both known and yet to be discovered. I hope you enjoyed tonight's video, and it has brought you a night of peaceful, restful sleep. Please join me again tomorrow for another sleep story. Until then, sweet dreams.